Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Rumors of Heresy. My name is Zareth, and today we've got another battle report for you. Firestorm Salamanders against the Blood Angels that are on their way out, the Index Blood Angels, the ones that let you have 10 Power Fists on Death Company. It's insane, it's unreasonable, and we've got to deal with it. How, you ask? Good question. We're using Linchpin here with Search and Destroy. And here's our deployments. Immediately, we deployed. He has 2 tanks. He has as many jump infantry, maybe more than I have. It's scary. Here are the objectives with the beautiful glowy blue effects on them. Wonderful. Do you see how hard I'm working on making better videos, folks? If it's not apparent, then it's probably working. You're probably just a little blind. You can see that my opponent placed his guys in the 2 buildings directly across from mine, and we're all just gonna kind of stare at each other for a long time. It's really riveting. That's why I'm making a battle report about it, because who doesn't want to watch a video about staring? I mean, it's almost scary how much people want to watch it. He's got a Ball Predator, a Gladiator Lancer, he's got 3 Inceptors and another 3 Inceptors, and a surprise Sanguinor in reserves. And then he's got 2 squads of scouts, 2 squads of jump pack intercessors, 2 squads of infiltrators. It's all extremely symmetrical as opposed to the list that we have. It is not symmetrical. It's just all over the place. We've got infiltrators, 1 squad of infiltrators, 1 squad of intercessors. The Land Raider Redeemer is hiding way in the back so that the Lancer doesn't lance it. And we don't even want it to get a lancing hit. that was an old 6th edition joke, folks. The lancing hits were a thing with vehicles, believe it or not. We have Vanguard Vets, we have 10-man jump intercessors, we have all kinds of madness. Now, you'll note that we still have a few proxies. We're solving that very shortly, but that's the case. We have lots of news, by the way, at the end of this, folks. Look at the timestamps if you want to. You can also, if you want to find my list in the video description, is where to look. Here's the kind of back screen of what my opponent is playing. You can see the 2 buildings up top, just totally full of their veterans, and Death Company are really scary. Vanguard veterans are really scary. It's not good. Here's a very rough approximation of where our deployment zones are. And I ended up getting the role to go first, which I didn't really want. I kind of wanted the last say against him, but you don't always get what you want. So we got Sabotage, Area Denial. Area Denial is a gift on first turn for a jump army like this. It's wonderful. So let's see what we can make of it. Man, he's got way better jump squads than me. He's got way more chaff than me. And at this point, I'm wondering why I'm not just playing Blood Angels instead of Salamanders doing their really silly stuff. I'm not sure, and that's fine. I like Salamanders. They're pretty neat. They're cool amphibians. Amphibians? Amphibians. Anyways, we're just gonna stare at the objective together. That's what we're gonna do, folks. We're gonna stare at it, and we're gonna stare harder, and whoever wants it the most is going to take it. The question is, who can trade better and who can kind of mess the other person's plans up? If I go into the middle with my big squads, it will be instant death. If they get the charge on me, I will die. However, I think that the reverse is true as well, if perhaps not as completely destructioned. I do think that we have better shooting on our squads, and we should be able to still take out these big squads if we can get the charge. So who can get the first charge? Let's just start it by putting the Infernus in the middle, and maybe they can get some Overwatch, or just force him to do something. We'll see. Can he kill 10 Marines in the middle and also take the middle? No one knows. Let's find out. Okay, it's time to move the Infernus up and shuffle our feet. Otherwise, the Land Raider moved up a little bit, just some arrows to help you. understand exactly how our guys stood around. And honestly, I mean, they did go up a little bit, but we got to get our secondaries, which sabotage is great. We can also get that middle objective pretty easily for the other secondary that we have. You see the jump pack intercessors were able to stand on the objective at the very back. They did advance to get that far, but not too bad. And then the 5 intercessors are just hanging out. They're little saboteurs. Who knew? The Van Vets and the Jump Intercessors are all moved into the ruins, and they don't want to be in engagement range because that's easy to charge them. Instead, what they're doing is they're staying 1.01 inches away from the walls so that our opponent can't engage them, and they can't fit their bases, which are longer than or bigger than 1 inch, inside of the ruins, so they're not chargeable in this current configuration, which is kind of nice. We're just gonna have a standoff instead. The Infernus, however, have no such protection, and they are at risk, to say the least. We did manage to score area denial and sabotage for a quick 8 secondary points, which is nice. Those are really great ones to have on the first turn, to be honest. Now, my opponent got no prisoners and storm hostile objective. Both of those are pretty solid, in fact, for what he is going to be trying to do here, especially storm hostile. So some scouts advanced, or they just moved, whatever scouts do. They scouted, they trooped up, and we burninated him. We overwatched and took him out. We killed 4.5. He rolled obscenely well on his rolls, and I think he had 27 saves or something that he had to take, and he saved most of them. 18 of them out of it was gross. It was absolutely grody. But we did get most of the scout. That was nice. I was like Theoden. I was like, is this it? Is this all you have, Saruman? And then Saruman moved his ball predator up. He moved a 5-man jump intercessor squad up, and they butchered those poor Infernus. They killed all but one of them and took the friggin' objective. So Saruman's gonna have another trick, and that's what my opponent did. So there we are. He managed to score. He didn't actually score the no prisoners because he didn't kill the full Infernus squad, so he turned it into CP. He did claim hostile objective here, though. My secondaries are Bring It Down, which is his tanks, maybe. His tanks aren't worth that much, but we're eligible to have that one. And then Defend Stronghold. It seems like an okay one to have as well, though it's only worth 3 VP. So, I mean, what are we gonna do here, folks? It's a challenge. Struggle is real. Okay, so that was a mistake. I should have waited to overwatch those scouts. The scouts, if they were going to be the only squad that was in the middle there, we could have overwatched them when they were charging. And if my opponent was going to take another squad in, which I realized immediately after, I should have just overwatched that squad. Because, frankly, the jump back intercessors would be a nice target. And in theory, we'd kill at least 4 of them on an overwatch. That's just the math of it. Who knows? He rolled really well, but I had no way of knowing that. So that was a mistake. That really was. I got excited. I was like, oh my gosh, we can burninate you? Let's burninate. Yeah, more burnination, a-holes. And so we did, and 4 scouts paid the ultimate price for my folly. And then, of course, the Infernus also paid the ultimate price. But let's focus on other things. Let's focus here. Focus on trying to win the match. So we're gonna keep our staring contest going here. We have 2 very simple objectives because I've noticed an opportunity. The first objective: kill all of the things that are on that center objective. We need to maybe take a quick pot shot at that ball predator with the executioner, but otherwise we need to clear that objective so that our opponent can't score. We don't want him to score. That's the whole thing. That's how you win, is scoring. If you didn't know. The other thing that we've got to do is he's got his scouts a little too far up. On the right-hand side, it looks like we can take advantage with our own squad and force him into some very tricky decision-making. But let's see if we can pull it off. I end up scoring 8 on my primary, which is not bad. Bring it down and defend stronghold are our secondaries. And the Executioner and the Land Raider Redeemer combined to just destroy that Jump Pack Intercessor Squad and the Scout Squad. So no one's going to score on that objective in turn 2, at least, as long as we're vigilant and diligent. Vigilant. We'll be able to continue that trend, hopefully. The Executioner did have a missed opportunity. He missed both shots on the Bale Predator, despite having Oath of Moment giving it rerolls to hit, which it's on 3s, and it gets 2 shots, so that was pretty poor dice. I'm not going to say that we had a sure shot or something like that, but I was fully willing to invest in a reroll on the wound just to try to take that thing out, but we didn't even get to that roll. It just ended prematurely, which is never the kind of ending anyone wants. So you can see I've moved my Jump Pack Intercessors out just a little bit to see if I can bait his Vanguard veterans to charge the Jump Pack Intercessors over there on my objective, because if he does, first off, I probably still control that objective on my next turn, but even if I don't, hopefully, then the Blade Guard can delete them. I was pretty sure that plus all my shooting should have a pretty positive impact. And over there, they're also out of range of the Death Company, which is important if you want to stay alive, because the Death Company, as they say, deals in death. I don't make up these things, guys. They're fairly lame, I realize, but I did manage to get those Jump Pack Intercessors over with the Chaplain. I managed to get the charge. I needed a 6. I failed it, did the reroll, and got it. So he's in a situation where those Death Company are going to have to come over and clear that objective on their own. If they don't, I probably win the game, just because getting 5 for this every single turn is really going to be a nice boost, and he's not going to be able to score the center that consistently anyways, so he's going to have to make a tough decision here. And otherwise, yeah, if they do move over to the Jump Pack Intercessors, the problem with that is then they're probably just kind of out of the game altogether anyways, because of how far they are away from that center objective. I'm essentially forcing them to take themselves out of the game but still be able to score, or let me continue to score and they can just continue staring at the objective. It's a tricky situation for all of us, folks. Very tense. I did steal 5 victory points from him here, though, because I'm holding this objective. That means those 5 are just gone. It's like I picked his pocket. Did you think I was going to say nose? I almost did. Maybe I did both. You don't know. You could do both, folks. That both works. I scored what? Oh, defense stronghold was going to be on his turn, so we waited. Bring it down. I didn't even connect with the heavy laser shots. It's a freaking laser, guys. How hard can it be? Blood Angels, turn 2 secondaries, recover assets, and he got bring it down again? Hold on. Oh, okay, this is awkward. What he did, he got recover assets, and he also got a Storm Hostile Objective. I don't know why I did the graphic wrong there. I do apologize, folks. He got Storm Hostile Objective again, which I didn't realize, folks. That's my bad. I didn't see that he got it a second time in a row. I should be paying better attention, but these are both very achievable for him. Storm Hostile Objective 2 turns in a row is not something that I should let my opponent get. But he only scored 3 here, which is nice on Linchpin. He only scored his home objective because our ugly Jump Pack Intercessors are holding his. So it's nice. lots of niceness here, folks. So the Death Company did decide they wanted to jump over and save the objective, which I think was probably the right choice, but they still have to kill our jump packs, don't they? It's gonna be a little bit tricky, right? The Ball Predator did go up and just claim the center objective, and I don't really blame him. He's gonna force me to try taking it, which he's putting himself out in the open, which is nice. And then he did shoot a may as well shot at my Land Raider Redeemer. I had told him about my strat that lets me do this a few different times, but he still did it, even though he didn't do any damage to the Land Raider Redeemer with the Ball Predator. And the Eradicators were able to use their Burning Vengeance strat and disembarked from the Land Raider, shot the Ball Predator, and killed it all the way dead. It was a glorious moment, folks. Good job, Erads. And the Repulsor Executioner used Smokescreen. They used Armor of Contempt. He was in cover. He was at -1 to hit, and he shot with a couple things. He had 3 Inceptors shoot at it, and they only wound on, what, 5s? Something like that. And they killed the Repulsor anyways. The Lancer shot, even missed a few times. It just, I didn't roll any of my saves, and combined with some really high spiking rolls, he managed to kill the dang thing, which really set back my plans. Really not a great result at all. Even though we killed the Ball Predator, we didn't come out ahead in this exchange. There's a reason that Ball Predator was shooting at the Land Raider instead of the Executioner. So really sad result. At least one of those Inceptors managed to kill themselves with overheating plasma, but it definitely feels bad here, folks. And then 10 Power Fist somehow managed to kill all my jump pack intercessors. I made him actually roll it just to see how absurd, like the absurd number of hits and wounds he did with them, and it was like 27 total wounds with Power Fists. Just completely ridiculous. I mean, I knew I had no chance there, and he proved me absolutely correct. I didn't come close to surviving. Absolutely dead, but now they're absolutely out of the fight for a while, which is something hopefully we can take advantage of. And as far as killing my jump pack interceptors, definitely got this episode's corpsed. He did manage to storm another hostile objective. Congratulations to my opponent, and he recovered assets. So he scored some points. Good for him. That's not great for us, but that's just how it happened. And then I scored 3 for Defend Stronghold at least, so that was something. Going into turn 3, I got Establish Locus and Engage on all fronts, which are fairly terrible for this stage of the game. Yeah, my kingdom for a helpful secondary. Okay, let's move on here, folks, though. So, yeah, huge oops on letting my opponent score a second time on Storm Hostile Objective twice in a row. That's on me, I think. I mean, it's also on him, but I should be more diligent. And so far, it's so good, kind of. We did manage to lure the Death Company away, which was kind of the objective. He kind of had to do it. We forced his hand. So the question is, can we take advantage of it? It also just really hurt to lose the Executioner. I did not expect it. We had some pretty good saving rolls available with Armor of Contempt and cover, and he was hitting on 4s. It should have, quote-unquote, should have survived, but you have to adapt to this. You can't just sit there and be shell-shocked, even though that is a huge part of the plan. And frankly, it's a note in disfavor of the Executioner, who, if it survives, it's good, and if it dies randomly on turn 2 after doing nothing, basically, is kind of a liability points-wise. But we'll talk about that a different time, I think. For now, we've got to try to take him out and take advantage of him being away. While the cat is gone, the mice will play. I don't like to think of myself as mice. While the cat is gone, the salamanders will play. Also not the best. Let's work on that. Or not. Let's just abandon it forever. I did manage to score 8 more points on this turn. I also got +1 for raised banners because my intercessors managed to get to that objective in time. And we have engaged on all fronts, which is terrible, and established locus, which is possible, but it's only 2 points because we can't get into our opponent's deployment zone at this point. So we do have a nice score advantage compared to my opponent. The Sanguinor, who I had totally forgotten. My opponent did tell me about it. Great opponent, by the way. If I ever sound like I'm negative about this guy or any of my opponents, for the most part, my opponents have been amazing. And nothing short of that for this opponent. He did not forget to tell me about Sanguinor. I just forgot about him. So he rapid ingressed his Sanguinor to pretty close to my objective, and that was not something I expected at all. It totally, completely surprised me, which it shouldn't have, but I'm still new. Cut me a break for a little bit at least, and then observe how awesome I am while you note how the 2 Inceptors died, the Gladiator Lancer died, and we took a commanding hold of that center objective again. I did move the Vanguard Vets out into the center, and I don't know how I feel about it. In fact, when I was making this, I wasn't sure. I have more thoughts on this at the end of this video when you get to the AAR. That's linked again in the video description. By the way, folks, just a quick reminder, if you want to support this channel, I would really appreciate just hitting that thumbs up button, making a comment in the comments area, doing something to help support and help us to get the algorithm mounted if at all possible. So anyways, folks, the Van Vets are out. I'm trying to lure my opponent into attacking them and giving a good target so then my Blade Guard Vets can get in, chop them up, and hold the objective for the foreseeable future. My last 5-man jump Intercessor Squad jumped into one of those buildings. I don't remember which one. You might, if you pause and just stare for 7 or 8 minutes, you might be able to see some blue. Who knows, guys? My opponent managed to score his normal points. We'll look at his score in just a minute, but he got Secure No Man's Land, which is another one that's pretty nice for him, and Bring It Down, which is he's gonna have to kill my Land Raider, so that one's less achievable for him. So he did manage to score 11 this turn. Oh yeah, I got some of the scores a little bit off, folks. I think he only scored 8 here, in fact. But, oh yeah, so he's going to be off on his score. I do apologize for that. I need to be a little more cognizant of that. I think I just saw that primary was 11, so I changed the turn 3 to 11. Foolish Zareth. But he's catching up 30 to 22, and there's nothing I can do about that back objective at all. So he did, one thing he did, he jumped all of his Vanguard Vets out, which you'll see in just a minute, but he also decided to try threatening my back objective, and with 5 more jump pack intercessors, and the Land Raider Redeemer just overwatched and burninated them, just completely off the board. They landed there, and I said, all right, we're going to overwatch. And he said, oh, against the Vanguard Vets? And I said, no, against the jump pack intercessors that you just finished moving. And then they all died, and there was much rejoicing. The Vanguard Vets did prep to charge my Vanguard Vets. His Vanguard Vets are a little different. He has 5 of those Melta pistols that the Blood Angels love so very much, and they have 5 Storm Shields. They also have a Sanguinary Priest, which gives them a 5-up Feel No Pain, and they also have a Captain. So very similar to our Vanguard Vets. Of course, he's going to get the charge, and he's got an amazing amount of advantage going into a fight like this because he gets to hit first, and he does a lot of extra damage because he's Blood Angels. Okay, so before we jump into that fight, I will say I totally misplayed the infiltrators. I let Sanguinor kill them all in one combat. I didn't need to do that. I didn't need to, and we'll review that a little bit later in the AAR, but I did absolutely misplay it, and he suddenly took control of my objective. This arrow it's pointing at is in fact the wrong place that Sanguinor is. It's on that objective in the top right hand corner, and in the building there he killed all of the infiltrators. Not something I needed to have happen, but he took my home objective, which is catastrophic to say the very, very least. And then his Vanguard vets killed everyone except for the captain, and I may have killed a couple of his Vanguard vets, but nothing too crazy. He also killed all the Erads, which was kind of poor placement on my part. I could have saved one of those squads, I believe. And then he scored. He didn't score Bring It Down, which is good. He did score No Man's Land, which was fairly easy for him. So my turn 4, I got Storm Hostile Objective. So the third time it's in the objective this time. And extend battle lines, which is something that I could do as well. And I did manage to score 3. I scored 3 for the one objective that I held because I don't have the home objective, which also, the home objective is 3, but then it also unlocks the amount of 5 to score on your other outside objective. So I only scored 3 on primary this time, which was extremely worrisome. Not good at all. So I did use Armor of Contempt to, I jumped my jump pack intercessors in, and I think this is the wrong place to show this slide, to be honest. The jump pack intercessors did go and land and just take over that objective this turn, and eventually I did use Armor of Contempt on them to keep them alive, which was, it's very possible to stay alive if you use that against Sanguinor. That extra pip of damage that he doesn't do is extremely nice, but one way or another, this is kind of just wrapping up that corner. I did go and grab that objective and hold it for the rest of the game with the jump pack intercessors, and then I was able to charge in with the Blade Guard, and between the tank and the Blade Guard, using Crucible of Battle, we managed to chop up every single Vanguard vet. Even though they had all the storm shields, even though they had all of the cool advantages, we took them out, except for their jump captain, which will appear later in this story. We managed to get extend battle lines and storm hostile objective, which brought us to a 42 total. Me and my opponent also gave each other full points for fully painted because we're nice. My opponent got Defend Stronghold and Storm Hostile. Oh no, they did. Not this time. They did get Area Denial, which is a fairly easy one as well for him. And he scored another 8 on his objective. Remember, he's 3 points lower than it looks like on this sheet. At some point, you'll see it tick back, but remember, I messed up, and I can't go back and fix it, so I hope you just deal with it forever. The Death Company got out, and I did manage to overwatch them and do a lot of damage to them, but I don't have all the pictures either. The Death Company got a 6 on their advance, folks. They got a 6, which meant they could charge me with impunity. If they hadn't gotten a 6, if they'd just gotten a 1, I don't think they would have made it, frankly. I don't, or at least they would have needed a really monster charge roll. I know that they get rerolls to their charges, but that advance roll was such a big deal during their last turn, so they did manage on their turn 4 to get the Death Company back in to charge, and they just absolutely smashed the Blade Guard veterans. Very sad indeed. They also killed the one jump pack intercessor on the top there. They also killed the one remaining Infernus Marine. They just basically killed everything, which was very sad indeed. And they got Area Denial, and they got Defend Stronghold. I don't know. Defend Stronghold was something I might have been able to accomplish, in fact, but what he ended up doing, he used his strat to retreat his captain, and then turn around and go charge my captain in the ruins so that I couldn't go take his his defense stronghold away from him with my own captain, which is a good move. It was very sad because I was going to go do that in the next turn. I managed to score a full 8 on turn 5 because I had taken back my home objective from stupid Sanguinor, and I got no prisoners in assassination, which put me in a really interesting spot because assassination is worth 5, no prisoner is worth up to 5, and we got to figure out what exactly to do here because he's got the Death Company kind of staring us down. He's only got like 6 members of that Death Company, so if we can get a couple more of those guys dead, then they have to take Battle Shock and they have to do some stuff, but we need Assassinate. We need Assassinate, and Sanguinor's just sitting there, so I advanced the Land Raider and managed to, I withdrew from combat with the Jump Intercessors, and we managed to just burninate Sanguinor all the way to a crisp. It looked delicious, in fact. It was crispy and satisfying looking. It wasn't actually. And then our 2 jump captains fought each other, and mine punched his to death. I think mine was fully healthy, but his was not. Very satisfying. I have the superior jump captain. Woo! Even though we can't do anything because it's turn 5. But that did give me +2 on the no prisoners objective, and I ended up scoring 4 on no prisoners, 5 on assassination, and that was it, folks. That was what I got. Could my opponent, I believe I finally set his score correctly on this page, so we have 41. He's got a lot of ground to make up, though of course he's going to score things on at the end of his turn, so he could actually have up to 4 objectives, including his home objective, if he wanted to move his Death Company over and take over my own objective, my natural objective, as you might call it. But instead, he got Established Locus. He just sat on his objective. He did the Established Locus, and oh yeah, his other one wasn't that good, but yeah. So we got Established Locus in my deployment zone, which you can see is a 56 for him, or he's at 56 right now. All he needs to do is score 4. He establishes Locus, and oh yeah, he didn't have Assassination available. I guess he could have tried to get my jump pack captain, but if he had failed a charge or anything, he would have also not held that center objective, which meant that he just sat there and claimed his 5 for that center objective. Didn't mess with my own objective because he didn't have enough troops to hold it or take it, and he ended up beating me by 1 because of the Established Locus. Oh man, he beat me by 1. He beat me by 1, and this was the first loss I had had since my very first game, which kind of stung, but huge props to my opponent for beating me. Not my favorite to lose, obviously, but man, there's nothing like a loss to help you evaluate what things you can play better, and there are things I could have done better. At first, as a lot of people are going to be tempted to in this game, at first I wanted to just blame Dice, because he did get really lucky on several different really key things. He got a lot of cool stuff, and that sucks, but you have to get through that luck. Luck is very seldom the reason we lose these matches, folks. A lot of times there are things that we could have done to have potentially won, and so I'm not saying I should have won. There's none of that in this evaluation. However, it is important to point out that there are things you could have done better and learn from them and maybe win next time. And that's exactly why you want practice games like this. And we lost by 1. Yay, I guess, the fact that it was such a close margin, but I don't want that. I think we could have beat him. In fact, we could have if I had played a little better. So let's talk about what things we could have done. So first off, Infiltrators could have survived at least 1 turn against Sanguinor instead of just letting him slaughter them haplessly on 1 turn. Could have given him Armor of Contempt. I had the CP available for it. I could have done that, and that would have reduced his armor pen down to giving me a 4-up save. And then on top of that, I think that would have been enough on its own, frankly, for 1 turn. And then we could have used a CP to be able to keep them passing their leadership immediately, and therefore not failing their battle shock, and therefore giving me another 6 points. I also had Feel No Pain that I didn't use because I forgot about it, and that would have been 10 rolls on it in and of itself. That if I had saved 1 of them, I would have ended up just surviving and being fine. So I could have played better. He did get a little lucky to kill them all anyways because of all my terrible saves, etc. But there are things I could have done to survive, folks. And in fact, I've learned from that on other fights. There was a lictor that tried to kill them as well, and in a few games later, and they survived long enough to win me the game. So, lesson learned, folks. However, I also, as I touched on before, I should have just been patient with Infernus. I got Burn a Nation happy and just pulled the trigger. And whereas it was satisfying to kill 4 scouts, it would have been way more satisfying to kill 4 or maybe even 5 jump pack intercessors and force my opponent into some awkward situations where his jump pack intercessors are suddenly not doing that well. And the scouts, if they charge, are probably, they might kill some of the Infernus, but they might not even take the objective. So I could have played that better. I got trigger happy, and I'm not proud of it. Finally, moving the Van Vets into the center was foolish. It was a couple days ago that I made the slide that says I'm still not sure about it. Since then, I've thought about it quite a bit because we could have gotten sneaky here. Let's zoom it in just a little bit. So if I had moved my Vanguard Vets, instead of moving them into the center there, if I had moved them into that little no man's land up top, the place that he's housing his Vanguard Vets currently, if I had moved there, it would have put him into a situation where his own Vanguard Vets would have had to either go in and kill my own Vanguard Vets and then risk the Blade Guard going in and taking them out, or they would have gone and grabbed that objective. Either way, if they had done that, then my Vanguard Vets could have either charged his Vanguard Vets, or they could have just jumped in and actually threatened his own objective, and which would have been disastrous for him. And either way, I gave him too much. I gave him Vanguard Vets, I gave him the ERADs, but then I also gave him the objective. I didn't need to give him that. I could have handed him all of those things except for the objective, and that would have been probably a win for me because the Blade Guard and Land Raider could have just gone and claimed the objective or killed the Vanguard Vets. Whatever happened, we had a strong reaction, and it didn't need to happen on the objective. In fact, we would have benefited in almost every circumstance other than him holding that objective. So, my mistake. Now, we have news here, folks. First off, the 10-man jump pack intercessors are done, and the Chaplain's done. Yes, that's awesome. You can see the aforementioned Tyranids in that game. We're not doing a battle report for it, but I did take pictures, and that was exciting. So, yay. The really exciting stuff, guys, we have several tournaments coming up. First off, I signed up for another one. We're doing 3 tournaments in 4 weeks. First off, Griffin Games and Comics have a Rogue Trader tournament. 12 players is it. So tiny tournament, perfect to break into the tournament scene. I'm not going to have an optimized list because we're not done painting everything, which is fine. We're taking Vulcan and 10 Tactical Marines instead of 10 jump back intercessors and the 5 intercessors. But we're taking Vulcan because he's painted, 10 Tactical Marines because they're painted. Then we have the Rogue Trader tournament that I had originally thought would be my first tournament. That's going to be the week and immediately after. You can go find the link to these events in the video description, by the way, folks. I think that should work now. I think I got that fixed, and so we should be able to do that. And so go check them out if you want. You can see the tournament rules, all of that stuff, the people who are signed up, etc. And I think I'll have all of my models done. I did buy a Land Raider Redeemer and have my painting guy, prep it to paint, but it won't be ready by this tournament. But I will have this list for that tournament. It's a bigger one. 36 people have already signed up for it. That's the capacity. There's a huge wait list. That's just how the tournament scene is in Denver these days. And then finally, 2 weeks after that, so we'll have 2 weeks to evaluate and self-reflect. And then we have the Fight Club Open, which is in October, and it's a grand tournament, 6 rounds over the course of 2 days, mid-October. And this is it, guys. 104 people capacity. And this is the culmination. This is the thing that I signed up for first when I didn't have any models, hadn't played a single game. I still signed up for it because I wanted that to be, that was my objective. So we'll see how that goes. Well, I've already played 6 tournament games, but until then, or before that, so I mean, how am I going to do? I have no idea, no clue. I hope I do well. I hope to equip myself well. We're going to do tournament reports for that, so be on the lookout for those. And I think that's it, folks. Hit that like button, thumbs up, subscribe, comment, all the stuff, folks. Thank you all so much for watching. And remember that if you didn't hear it from me, it's probably heresy. Take care, folks.